So last week I talked about overcoming victimhood. So now we're going to take the next step in how we're going to deal with those people who wear victimhood like a hat. Like loving the unlovables or loving those who are practicing victimhood. So let's start with a Bible verse. This is from Matthew. Jesus saying, I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors, those evil people, do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So when he's talking about perfection, Jesus is talking about not you never make mistakes. He's talking about perfection of what? Love. Heart. Yeah. Perfection of love and heart. So here's from our true parents. I wanted you to stand proudly in the position of restored owners who possess a love that is greater than Satan's love. I expect you to fulfill the responsibilities of an owner with the authority of a descendant and heir of heaven who has inherited the proud tradition on behalf of God, Jesus, and the true parents. So the exact opposite of victimhood is ownership. Actually, the word victim, remember last week we talked about it, it's the opposite of victor in the Latin. So you have victor, victim. Victor is the one who succeeds, right? That's the owner. Victim is the one who is conquered. So what I'm talking about, though, is not just people being victims, because we know in life people are actually victims. I mean, victim is actually the situation or the circumstance of events that happen. Victimhood is an attitude. It's the attitude that we take in the face of whatever we're facing in life. So we know lots of people who are really honest victims, and yet they don't have a victimhood attitude. They're victors. In fact, we know that this is an important distinction because people who suffer from abuse, instead of talking to them as victims, we talk about them as being survivors, the victory side of it, that they overcame it. So, last time we talked about this, and you probably remember some of these expressions, typical victimhood expressions. It's not my fault, right? That started all the way back in the Garden of Eden. Adam said, no, not my fault, the woman. It was, no, not my fault, the devil made me do it, right? We have to watch out. That's an easy one to use, right? Not my fault. Because of the weather, because of the rain, because that person, because, right? Also, we take on the victim attitude. Oh, look what was done to me, or look what you did to me, or look what you didn't do for me that I was expecting you to do for me, right? Oh, here I'm playing the victim and trying to guilt trip you into doing what I want you to do. Or, oh, it's just my fate. Have you ever seen victims like that? Oh, poor me. I was born under a bad sign. I had nothing to do with it. It's just my life is miserable and it's not my fault. It's my fate. No. Right? So easy to fall into that, though, especially when we have a lot of difficulties in our life. But we know our attitude makes the difference. So we can have a victor attitude or a victimhood attitude. And then lastly, guilt. I'm so hopeless. I'm just a bad person. Please feel sorry for me. Don't expect me to do too much, right? I'm just a victim because of all my past mistakes, as an excuse, right? So I don't have to take responsibility. So victimhood is something that's so easy for us to wear. Victimhood is really all about me, right? All those expressions, It's not my fault. Look what wasn't done to me or for me. It's my fate. I'm so. Who's that looking at? Me, 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 me. It's all about myself. It's selfishness. So victimhood is all about protecting myself and manipulating others. So, I protect myself from the consequences of my bad actions. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, but it's not my fault, right? We easily fall into that. Or we use it to guilt trip and manipulate other people into doing things, manipulating people. So it's all that, underlying that is what we know, we're all lacking the true love from God. The reason that we need to protect ourselves is because we feel unloved. The reason we manipulate other people is we feel like we can't get what we need just by asking. So we have to manipulate people in life. So underlying everything is the problem of the lack of true love in our lives. So last week I talked about, for us, how do we work on ourselves? It's so easy to act like a victim. So how do we ourselves cultivate the heart of ownership? The true parents is always encouraging us to be true loving owners of the heavenly kingdom. Right? Family pledge. As the owner of Chonoguk, right? In our motto, as the owner of the heavenly kingdom, owner of Chonoguk. So the 3 points that I made, and there's more, but just that we can watch ourselves in terms of playing the victim, watch our language. Easily when we fall into, oh, it's not my fault. Okay, already I know something's off. As soon as I start using words that say, that person made me angry, right? Oh, I'm a victim. It's not my fault that I got angry. I had nothing to do with it. It was that person. Victim, playing the victim. So changing our language so we really take responsibility and ownership for our language. Also, gratitude as the magic bullet. You can't be a victim if you're grateful. It's just, it's like oil and water, they won't mix. A grateful heart overcomes victimhood. Even if you're in the most difficult, suffering circumstance, but we have a grateful heart, we're not a victim. We're not suffering from victimhood. But the bottom line for all of it is love. The experience of love. If we know and are grounded in the experience of God's love in our life, that's our protection. That's really our strength. And that's the root of our problem. From the fall of Adam and Eve, we're all suffering from this deficiency of the experience of God's perfect love in our life. So that's why it's important in our life that we invest in our relationship with God, our Heavenly Parent, that we study Hunduke. That's why Hunduke is such an important tradition. Reading God's Word to fill our hearts and minds with God's precious truth. Also, investing daily quiet time, quality time with God, our Heavenly Parent. Sitting in the presence of God so we can feel and allow God to fill our hearts and minds with God's love and God's presence. Most important, because the root of the problem is an issue about true love. Again, from our true parents. You can become an owner of Chonoguk, the heavenly kingdom, only when you become a person who can overcome hardships in the most extreme circumstances and still be eternally grateful, offer praise and the glory of attendance to heaven. So overcoming victimhood, no matter how difficult our circumstances is, this is when we genuinely become a true owner of the heavenly kingdom. People that God can manifest God's love and healing through. So, we've got our work cut out for us on our side. How do I overcome being a victim myself? But how about those people in our lives who wear that hat of victimhood and are always trying to protect themselves or to manipulate us or control us to do things? There's a lot of challenge here. Because, maybe it's just my life, but I know a few people in my life, including myself, who will easily fall into that. And as soon as I start getting that victim, I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling, I did something wrong. How do I fix this? And those people are really trapped. Actually, just feeding into that is actually unhealthy for them. It's not supporting them. So there's 5 things, and I'm pulling this from Greg Bear. I'm very grateful that God is working through someone like that. But 5 points, particularly that we can use to address. I'm sure there's more, but in terms of developing strategies, let's start with we need to ourselves be grounded. number one, we need to be owners of true love. So all that stuff I said before, us working on, our language, making sure we keep a grateful heart, that we ground ourselves in God's love. This is going to be the key in dealing with people who have a victim attitude. We have to ground our love with God, our Heavenly Parent. Again, daily study, daily quality time with God. In addition to that, though, God designed us to be in relationships of love. We need each other. We need people in our lives. And especially we need people in our lives who can give us unconditional love. That means the people who can see all of my warts, all of my problems, and still love me. Now, that's not going to be everyone. So you have to look. You have to look hard sometimes. But it's important that we do have those kind of quality people in our life. Of course, the first place we're looking is at home, right? In our family. But then in our community, we need to make sure we find those people in our lives that we can be honest about ourselves with and who God can work through to encourage us. And also, people that don't take our foolishness. When sometimes we're acting foolish or acting like a victim ourselves. Someone who can call us on it that we trust. So this is very important. So we can't indulge in in victimhood because really we're trying to overcome selfishness ourselves. All the victimhood is all about me. And there's no power there in our lives. When we're focused on ourselves being a victim, we have no power. So we have to resist that temptation to go there. To look for those false love. And instead be owners of God's true love. Through a relationship with God, our Heavenly Parent, through a relationship with good people in our lives. But even with this, even if you've got, you've been good prayer life, you're praying desperately and spending quality time with God and studying God's Word, and you've got great people in your life supporting you, when someone in our life starts playing the victim, we easily slip into making excuses and protecting ourselves. It's just, it's kind of almost automatic. I got, no, it's not my fault. You made me like this. Oh, no. Already, immediately we try to defend and protect ourselves. This way, grounding ourselves in God's love gives us power to be able to resist that. Because the next step is really kind of hard. Telling the truth about ourselves. Instead of arguing or defending ourselves, our heart is to love them. So, acknowledging the truth about ourselves. Now, the thing is it's so easy to be a lawyer, right? Someone's going to say, "Oh, you never take me out to dinner." And what does the lawyer say? "Oh, wait a minute. Let me look at my calendar. Yeah, 3 months ago. Look right there. I did it. I'm innocent." That's protecting myself, right? Instead of telling the truth that, no, we haven't gone out for a long time. And maybe even go a little bit deeper saying, honestly speaking, I don't like going out to dinner. But telling the truth and owning it. So this is really healthy because it keeps us from immediately jumping in to defending ourselves or rationalizing or attacking the other person. When someone plays the victim card on us, immediately we jump into, it's not really like that, or this, all the excuses, and we get caught so quickly. But if we stop, remember, okay, God, I'm your child. Thank you for your love. Please help me be present in this moment and tell the truth. Okay, honestly speaking, I didn't do that. Or this is what I did do. That moves us in a position where we're taking the focus away from them as the victim to actually being a responsible person ourselves. Acknowledging what's true when they say that. And that's frightening sometimes. Sometimes uncomfortable. But the victim feels empty and afraid themselves. The main reason that we go into the victimhood strategy is because we ourselves feel alone, afraid, and we're trying somehow to get something from someone else. So when we acknowledge, we don't attack back, we don't defend ourselves, but we acknowledge what's real for us, that sets up the stage for then we can genuinely listen to them. listen with love to what their concern is. So, oh, you never take me out, blah, blah, blah. And say, okay, I can own up to, yeah, I don't. But what is the complaint there really? Is the complaint that I didn't take it out? No, the complaint is I feel unloved, I feel not appreciated, I feel not valued, I feel not understood or cared for. That's actually what's really being communicated. So if we stand in the position of ownership, I'm being responsible, being an owner of true love, I'm telling the truth about myself, my own imperfections, and then listening with love to the person's heart, to their lack of love. That's what they're genuinely experiencing. Then I can speak from a position of not, oh, that's because, you feel bad or you're upset, but I can listen and hear. If I was in your situation, I can imagine that I would also feel unhappy. Is that what's going on? Not saying, oh, I made you sad, right? Or I know you're sad. No, this is actually already making assumptions about them. Oh, I know your situation, and just because you're a weak person, that's why. No. Owning it, being really, really keeping the focus on my responsibility. If I was in your situation, I could imagine it would be like this. Is that true? Now, when we feel genuinely listened to, without the person being defensive or attacking us, honestly speaking, listening is love. When someone genuinely listens to us, doesn't judge us and get back at us, but genuinely just responds back. I mean, we've had a whole talk about even just, is this what you said? Is this what you meant? Am I understanding you correctly? That in itself feels loving. You don't even have to agree with what they're saying. But if they get that you're really investing in paying attention to them, that's love. And that in itself is healing. Because the reason we jump into victimhood is because no one cares. I feel unloved. I feel unappreciated. So listening and caring, giving our heart, opens the door for healing. And opens the door for them to step outside of trying to protect themselves, trying to manipulate us into doing what they want. And opens the door for real communication and real sharing. So then, on that foundation, then you can look at, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? They're feeling a lack because of some action that I've not been doing or been doing. So what can change, or how can we do it different? So then the next step is looking at, okay, what's going to be different? What are we going to do different? And this also gets really tricky, because when people are making demands on us, and when we start feeling guilty or obligated to do something, loving heart kind of goes out the window. As soon as you feel like someone's demanding something, my heart anyway, no longer opens up. I'm willing to give something, and then when people are demanding it, it's, wait a minute, that was a gift. Well, now it's a demand. You're forcing me to do this? Then it moves away the heart of love that's present there. And honestly speaking, a person who manipulates you into doing what they want, they're not feeling loved. They may be feeling powerful. Oh, look, I got them to do what I wanted. But they're not feeling loved because they know it's not unconditional love. They know that they tricked you into loving them, or they guilt-tripped you into it, or whatever. So sympathizing and rescuing people often is crippling and poisoning to them. So instead, what we need to look at is what we can offer to them freely, unconditionally, whether or not they pay us back or say thank you or anything. What we can give to them genuinely, then that's what we can give. So then the conversation has moved from, I'm an owner of true love. I've owned up to the reality about myself and my shortcoming. And I've listened to their expression of the need for love. So I'm looking for how can I, with a genuine, unconditional heart, move to meet that need that they're feeling. that need for love and appreciation. So, we're told to love our neighbor, right? So suppose the kindness of your heart, you start taking a friend, a neighbor that doesn't have a car, transportation. So you go into the store and say, "Oh, would you like to go with me? I'm going to go shopping. You want to come shopping?" So then, great. And they're very appreciative. So they go shopping, and on Fridays they usually go shopping, and if you need a ride, we can go. And so, it kind of gets into a routine there. It's nice. And at some point, the person starts thinking, okay, this, it's your responsibility to take me to shopping on Fridays. That starts to change the feeling a little bit, right? Well, how about you go shopping and you're done in a half hour, but no, I still have to do more shopping, so please wait for me, right? And so it kind of gets more and more inconvenient. But I feel guilty, right? Because, here I am, they don't have a car, it's very difficult, and it's the only time they get to go shopping, so I'm sitting here feeling guilty, feeling resentful, getting a little bit angry and upset and uncomfortable. Because what was an unconditional loving gift, now I'm feeling resentful about this gift that I'm giving people. Because if we keep trying to give more than we have, when we go past what we can freely give as an offering, as a genuine gift, we empty ourselves out and we stop wanting to give. We stop feeling the love that motivates us. And we get resentful and angry. So we have to pay attention to ourselves. We can't give more than we feel. If we're not filled up ourselves and feeling confident in that love, the more loved I feel, the easier it is for me to say, oh yeah, I don't have anything else to do, or I can allow more time, or whatever. It's easier. But we have to pay attention to where we're at. When we start giving more than we can genuinely give, we're not really giving with love. We're giving out of guilt, or whatever. So in that example, setting boundaries. I really am glad that I'm able to take you shopping on Fridays. But I only have half an hour to go shopping. So when I go shopping, you're welcome to come with me, but after half an hour, I have to leave. So if you're not ready, then you can call an Uber, or get a taxi, or forget. Or if you think that a half hour is not going to be enough and you won't be able to get back, then you'll have to find another way to get there. Because I'm happy to give you a half hour. I'm happy. I can give that unconditionally with love. But, if that doesn't meet your needs, well, okay, we can try something else. So this is also honoring that they have a choice in their life. They can choose to take the half hour, or they can choose not to go, or take the half hour and then get a one-way ride and get another ride back. There's lots of options there. And we're able to give genuinely with love, without reservation. Yeah. No hesitation to do that, to give that much. So then as long as we're offering things freely and unconditionally, then the person feels loved. And even if, I only have a half hour, I'm sorry, and they try to guilt trip us and say, well, if I had more to give you, I would, but I don't. And so, you get to choose. And anyway, I wrestle with this all the time, and maybe, again, hopefully you're not wrestling with it. Hopefully you've got that handled, But it's so easy to feel, I did something, and then it becomes an expectation, and then it becomes a burden where I'm feeling like, oh man, I don't even like to do this anymore. I don't even want to help this person anymore. I get angry when it's time to help this person. I'm no longer feeling loving. I'm feeling angry and resentful. So we go back to the top of the list, reconnect with my source of love, connect with people around me, because actually what's happening there is I've now fallen into playing the victim. I'm a victim because this person is making me do stuff that I don't want to do. Right? What have I done? I've fallen into a victimhood mentality. blaming them for the time that's lost. Again, that's not loving. That's focusing on me. That's selfishness. So offering freely and working with what? I don't like to go out to dinner, but I think if we would it be nice if we just spent time together, doing something other than chores or things around the house? Maybe the person that wanted to go out more to dinner, it'd be happy. It's not, I'm looking for love. I'm not necessarily looking because I don't get enough good food. I want to spend quality time just together, Then you can explore what can you give freely and unconditionally. The truth is when we give something freely, unconditionally, without anger, or resentment, or guilt, or things like that, the person that receives it feels loved. But if the person knows that the only reason they're getting what they're getting is because they guilt-tripped you, they don't feel so much love from that. They might feel, I had some power, I got something I needed done, but they don't feel loved. And the most important thing in our life is love, is our relationships of love and caring. So these, ideas, when you put into practice, boy, it's definitely challenging. The last point here, there's a lot more to talk about. But when there's the opportunity and when you have the right relationship and the dynamics of what's going on is appropriate, it's an opportunity to give life lesson, to teach. Especially as parents, when our kid says, that's not fair, that's an opportunity for us to share, yeah, welcome to life. Life isn't fair, so what are we going to do to make the best of it? To make a good situation out of it. Not be a victim, but be a victor. Be an owner of our lives. So taking that opportunity to teach about the attitude of victimhood and blaming others and how destructive that is. And also how when we play the victim that we're giving away our power. Are you saying that you really have no power in your life? That they're controlling your life? How horrible, how sad that is for you. How unpleasant that must be. When you're at the whims of, that person made me mad. Oh, really? Gee. That person's controlling your life? Gee, I hope we can get out of that. And just the value of responsibility and ownership. And facing the consequences. Look, if I did something wrong, whose job is it to fix it? I can try to escape all I want. Oh, it's not my fault. They did that. It's because of this. It's because of the circumstances. Because of fate. No, if I take ownership and I deal with the real consequences in my life, then actually my life is much more substantial and fulfilling. So these kinds of life lessons, this case by case, it may be appropriate, it may not be appropriate to talk about this. But we all suffer from the lack of love. We're all suffering from the fall of Adam and Eve. We're all suffering from the root of Satan's clutch in our hearts, keeping us from experiencing the love, fulfilling love that God designed us to be filled with all the time in our life. And so being able to share about that and encouraging, we're trying to become true owners of love. Owners of true love who are responsible in the world, who can make a difference in the world. That's who God designed us to be. And that's where the real happiness and the real fulfillment in our life will come from. When we become true owners. So paying attention to our language, not falling into the victimhood language. Being grateful in all circumstances. And most fundamentally, grounding ourselves in the true love of God and the deep love and relationships with key people in our lives. So, let me close with this from our true parents. In order to become owners of true love, we must lift up others and love them more than we love ourselves. This is the ground. This is our purpose in life, is to love others. As individuals, we need to establish mind-body unity with true love at the center. So, in order for us to be people who love others, who can give to others, who can help heal the problem of victimhood in others, we need to first deal with that issue in ourselves and ground ourselves in the love of God in our lives. So, please join me in prayer. Good morning, Father, Mother God, our loving Heavenly Parent. We're so grateful for the chance we have to participate in your providence at this time in history, to be the sons and daughters, to be the people that you've called to respond to our true parents, the people who can take ownership and responsibility for your providence of healing and restoration in this world. Heavenly Parent, this world is so filled with pain and sorrow and suffering. And so many people are trapped in seeing themselves as powerless to deal with the challenges in their lives. And even we, Heavenly Parent, I repent when I reflect on my own life, how often I fall into the victimhood routine to try to protect myself or try to manipulate other people to do what I want. But Heavenly Parent, the true fulfillment in our lives is in you, in our relationship, and you are the source of the true love that we need so desperately. So we pray that you can continue to dwell and move powerfully in our lives. And also, Heavenly Parent, help us to grow in our relationships with our brothers and sisters, especially that we can cultivate that closeness of friends that we can trust, people that we can trust, and also people that can trust us, that we can be there for others when they're not feeling so filled with your precious love. Heavenly Parent, we're so grateful for our true parents who've sacrificed and given so much unconditionally for the foundation for healing your heart and for liberating us, that we can know and live lives of genuine fulfillment, of genuine love, and of genuine joy. So, Heavenly Parent, we thank you so much. Please guide us in the days to come. We offer up ourselves to you as your sons and daughters and as blessed central families. Amen.